Africa World Hour with Tsepiso Makwetla on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
And it is 30 minutes past 9. You are listening to Africa World Hour, watching Africa World Hour here on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. We're live on the DSTV audio channel 802. We are also live on YouTube, where we're live streaming at Channel Africa. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram on that handle as well. And of course, you can also watch us live on the SABC Plus app. So we talk about South Africa's political map now. It's been shifting before our eyes. The Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection, or MISTRA, is warning that by 2029, the African National Congress could retain outright control in only two provinces, Limpopo and the Eastern Cape. From Gauteng to KwaZulu-Natal, Free State to Mpumalanga, coalition governments are no longer the exception, but they're going to be the rule, it says. And national politics is already testing the limits of its fragile new order. At the center of this analysis is Professor Susan Booysen, one of South Africa's most astute political minds. She's the lead researcher for this report. She unpacks with me now the numbers, the strategies, the stability or instability of coalitions, and whether the government's much-touted national dialogue is going to be a bridge to unity or rather a bridge to nowhere. A very good evening to you, Prof. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Good evening, Tsepiso. Very good to speak to you.
Let me just start with that national dialogue. It kicks off tomorrow. Although we spoke to the Moses Kotane Foundation yesterday, and they were saying their understanding of it is that this is a precursor to a national dialogue. Just to share your thoughts about this, because it'll also give us a sense of where South Africa is politically.
Yes, indeed. I think I would summarize it quite well if I say it's pandemonium and confusion as to what is the exact status of this national dialogue. There are still so many different presentations as to who is actually in charge of it. Government people, ANC people saying, presidency people, I guess, is saying they are ready to hand over to civil society. Civil society and various opposition parties are saying this is a government-led and specifically a presidency-led initiative. And another point of discontent regarding the dialogue, I would say, is the fact that people are not sure what is the point of having dialogues, since South Africans are pretty good at having conversations about the problems and what needs to be done on a daily basis. So that is already there. And so, and it is going ahead. People are concerned about how much money is being spent on it. And so it's really a den of problems which probably will be overtaken a little bit once conversations gets going. But as far as preparatory stages go, I don't think all the different signals we getting are boding well for success of this initiative.
And as we speak now, we speak with South Africa being governed by a government of national unity. And it is that unity that I want to underscore. Not only the role of national dialogues, looking back at CODESA, for instance, where their potential and the ultimate outcome. There are those who are accusing the ANC, obviously through the presidency, of using it to garner votes in the 2029 elections. Is that possible? Can that really be a thing? And just looking at how governments of national unity or coalitions are functioning, nationally versus provincially, where is the stability or instability?
Yes, indeed. In the first place, it's not a question, I would say, of being able to manufacture votes directly. If we talk just ANC at the moment, and ANC unambiguously, even if it's a government of national unity, a coalition government, just politically there's a political choice to call it a government of national unity. But ANC within this GNU, government of national unity, is not sharing power willingly and is not offering much power, if any power at all, to its coalition partners. And this is also one of the accusations that I heard today, that the GNU partners are saying, as they have been saying on many other issues, that they had not been consulted, that this was really a decision that had been taken unilaterally by the ANC and is being run with mainly by ANC in government. And that brings us actually directly to this point of power sharing and GNU and how it operates. We know this GNU of South Africa came about just over a year ago in June last year, when the ANC didn't get an outright majority anymore. In many countries, the party is just the plural majority, the biggest share, a block of the vote, even if it's not 50% plus, is allowed to vote. In South Africa, the political party requires an outright 50% plus majority. The ANC did not get that after multiple elections where they had huge majorities, and then it started slipping very fast. And the ANC was not keen on going in with other parties, but it had to. And the DA was the primary party that negotiations took oath with, also because, and that is very much the game of coalition politics in South Africa, as we also show in this MISTRA report. It's a numbers game. Anybody can more or less align with anybody, irrespective of ideology, of policies, etc., that may be very divergent and contradictory. And that we saw at the national level then when ANC and the DA came together. But the ANC faced then, and still continues to face, much internal resistance against this GNU alliance, which includes the DA, Democratic Alliance, as a major partner. And it then brought on a bunch of 8 other, mostly micro parties. And that is a lesson that the ANC had been learning from local government coalitions, which in South really blossomed. Such a big expansion since 2016 local government elections, and again a few years ago in 2021, large escalation in numbers of local government coalition cases, and 70 of these are the subject of the local government section of MISTRA's coalition report. But in that, the ANC had really taken on the board, which nationally is being using to great effect, of small parties to construct a majority. In April and around there this year, the ANC even used that strategy, which is unheard of in coalition politics, to go shopping outside of your coalition, of the GNU 10-party coalition, for other parties to build support and get a majority. And that did not sit very well. But that is part of this big strategy. South Africa, then alternative majorities.
Let me then jump in on that point about the sincerity of the coalition culture then, not only in South Africa, but what we've learned from other countries around the world. We've seen delegations from South Africa go and study in Europe how other countries get it right, particularly we've seen Germany and other countries. But is it a misnomer to speak about sincerity when we talk about coalition culture? Because is it not transactional in nature? Because you are obviously seeking to get into bed with someone so that you can govern.
Yes, indeed. It is a very transactional coalition dispensation. If the parties govern together and agree to govern together and agree to share power, even if the power sharing is not very effective, that is a coalition government. But in South Africa, and that is, I think we're manifesting a particular type of this coalition government. And that is, as you mentioned, very transactional, very hollow in terms of convergence. Yeah, and one doesn't expect coalition partners to converge on everything, to have totally the same ideology or policies, but there must be a set of convergent policies on which a coalition government, any coalition government that's successful, really can show that they converge on a set of agreed policy issues. In South Africa, we didn't get that type of negotiations on what would be that core set of policies on which they agreed. They agree on objectives, broad, vague objectives on economic development, reduction or elimination, reduction of unemployment, etc. But the ways in which they propose to get there are very, very different. And that's a daily, almost daily, contestation between the major parties as to how these goals should be achieved. That is a very acrimonious part, a contestational part of this coalition that we have in South Africa. And now they mentioned the word contestation. It is really a core ingredient of our coalition government here and the national one here, where even court cases, it's not totally exceptional, but it's so regular and rife in our coalition government nationally.
So finally, Prof, and just briefly, please, if we're talking fragmentation versus consolidation, if you are saying, according to your study, that the ANC may only find itself with outright majority in 2 provinces, is there anything that it can do along the way, or is it a natural death, an implosion of the ANC as we know it and knew it?
Tsepiso, that assertion that I make with regard to the coalition statuses of the provinces is really based on a very simple trends analysis of provincial results, outcomes of the ANC in elections, how the trends have been moving over the years. And since 2004, and 1 or 2 provinces, 2009, has been a consistent, unchanged downward curve, and took quite a big dip in the last election. And to that extent that it's only these 2 provinces, the Free State and Mpumalanga, that are it's currently, they are the 2 that are closest now to also falling below 50%, 52, 53% of the support in those provinces. And if the trend continues, they will slip into the minority outcome for the ANC in those provinces. And specifically to your question, there is nothing that I see happening that's transpiring politically or inspiring a newfound faith or a reinvigorated faith and belief in ANC in those provinces or in other provinces that could suggest at this stage, given that we are still 4 years away from the next election provincially, but there are no indications at this stage of new invigorating influences, leadership emerging. So if anything is to be done about that, it would be strong inspirational leadership, unambiguous clean government, and a very, very clear mission statement. And the mission statement which may, in fact, not be that possible anymore, given that it is now a coalition government and serious, important issues have to be consulted.
Prof, thank you very much. Much appreciated your time and sharing with us the insights from your report and, of course, your own personal thoughts. Indeed. That is Professor Susan Booysen. She is the lead thinker of that report at MISTRA, the Mapungubwe Institute, and just speaking to us about that. South Africa entering a phase where political survival often comes, she says, before public service, and coalitions can be as fragile as they are necessary.
Mix Vibration.